everybody. Welcome to What It Takes to Build a Successful Business. The event is part of the What It Takes Alumni Speaker Event Series, organised by our wonderful Alumni Relations team. Tonight's event is organised in collaboration with the Westminster Enterprise Network. My name is Dr. Svinder Dhaliwal, and I'm a reader in entrepreneurship at the Westminster University Business School. So I lead the entrepreneurship research group, where we have lots of research seminars with speakers from around the world, as well as our own academic staff and students. And I'm also the director of PhD programs for the school. I teach on the MSc Enterprise Innovation and Enterprise Development program, and I've taught entrepreneurship in many, many countries across the world, which has been wonderful. I've met students from all different backgrounds, and of course we've got our fantastic diverse students here. So that's myself, but a couple of housekeeping things before we start the event. So this event is being recorded. A recording will be available on the Alumni YouTube channel within the next few weeks. Now, the other thing is, if by any chance you hear the fire alarm, gather any possessions close to you within reach and leave calmly by the nearest safe exit. I'm like a pilot in a plane here. The assembly point is on Middleton Place, which is the opposite side of the building to the main entrance. Okay. Now, what are we going to do this evening? We've got our fantastic panel. They're going to discuss their experiences of how they've built their successful businesses, and they're going to share their experience, give advice for those of you looking to start your own business or those who want to grow your own businesses. There will be time at the end for an audience question and answer session where you will be able to ask questions. You can do that by raising your hands, and there's a roving mic that will go round. So when that comes to you, please say your name and your affiliation. Or if you're watching online, and welcome to all those of you who are online watching this, you can submit your questions online using the Slido details. So they're on the screen or on the feedback form, at the back of your chair for those who are here. So that will be followed by a really fantastic networking session with refreshments, where you'll have more time to really relax and to talk to our panellists, more socially at the end. Okay, so without more ado, let's turn to our panellists. Now I'm going to ask each of them to briefly share who they are, what they studied at Westminster, when they graduated, and what they're doing now. So I'll start with you, Arjun.
Hello everybody. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Perfect. My name's Arjun. I graduated in marketing communications 2021, if I'm not wrong. After which I spent nearly 2 years working for Omnicom Media Group, which is one of the biggest advertising agencies in the world. And then I started my own soft drinks company called Bevera, which is a coconut water brand.
Fantastic, thank you. Christine.
Hi, my name is Christine. I graduated international marketing at Westminster Business School in 2019. Yes, and then I did most of my career, 4 years. I was head of marketing in a fintech company called Fintech Cashier, and now recently, last year, I opened my own marketing agency.
Thank you. Lucy.
Hi, my name's Lucy Spicer. I graduated even longer ago than that, in 2014 with an MSc in psychology. I then worked in the NHS in specialist hospitals and launched my own business about 5.5 years ago, which is a psychological coaching practice. I also have my own podcast, and the business kind of spanned into other areas, which I'm sure I will be speaking about too.
Thank you. Nafusa, welcome. How about you?
So I graduated in accounting last year, and I launched my business in my second year of university, and I'm now doing an undergraduate degree. I'm doing a graduate job at PwC, doing accounting.
Thank you. Ricardo.
Hi everyone. I graduated in Management and Economics in 2023, and then I've done my master at Imperial College of London. At the same time, I opened 2 businesses. One is called EasyTap, and the other one FastTech. With EasyTap, we do digital business cards, and it became the top 5 digital business card in the Google Play Store. And instead, with FastTech, we do IT consulting, and we're a group of entrepreneurs which help other companies to grow or build their online presence as well as their products.
Let's stay with you, Ricardo.
Sure.
So what inspired you to start your current business, or one of them, or the first one?
So I'm originally from Rome, Italy, and I would say that when I arrived here in London, I was really intrigued by people like connecting, the networking that happens here. London is such a big city. Every time you meet people and encounter maybe new friends or business partners. And I was struggling a lot with paper business cards at the time. I remember I was always forgetting at home, or I didn't have it at all. So I just thought, why not like building something that makes easier and that you can always have it with you. So in that case, I built this software which is called EasyTab, and at the very beginning it was just an MVP. I started to collect data, talking with people, if it could have been feasible to actually make it an app. And it happened, and then things like moved and developed.
Well, here you are now. Arjun, what about you? What inspired you to start your business?
I come from a family of food and drink business, but just not based here, based in India. That's where I grew up, which is Delhi. It was a case of when will I go back and join the family business, and I decided to not listen to my father and start my own drinks company here, and prove a point that if I want to, I can do anything anywhere in the world, and don't have to go back and don't have to sit on the family business necessarily at the age of 26.
You're not a Nepo baby then. Brilliant. Lucy?
So I love my work in the NHS, but as you can imagine, there were kind of frustrations with that as well, especially with the lack of funding and resources and me being able to deliver the care in the way that I wanted to. I also think, and I was having this conversation before, that I was never built for a 9 to 5. I hated the idea of sitting at my desk at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and being told how much annual leave I could take a year. And my supervisor at the time said, Lucy, I have never even questioned that. So as the premise of my podcast as well, I firmly believe that we tend to get our biggest breakthroughs from our breakdowns, and that was very much my story. So I was back in my childhood bedroom in Brighton. Everything had been stripped away from me, and it gave me an opportunity to really reassess what I wanted to do with my life and think about my values. And from there, with kind of just me living back at home, I decided to take the leap and start to work towards my own business.
So what were the first steps you took?
The very first steps?
Yes, the very first steps.
Okay, I had a bit of a following on social media at the time, just from enjoying kind of well-being events. Instagram was quite new there. So I started to kind of pivot my content on social media to start to talk a bit more about kind of coaching and things that were helping me, and then I used my commute every day from Brighton to London to really visualise what my business was going to look like what would excite me, and started to take baby steps towards that, and I did an additional coaching qualification.
Lovely, thank you. Thank you, Christine. So what inspired you to start your business?
So for me, in the beginning, I thought that my dream was to work, in a big corporation, like having an office in Oxford Street, going every morning, dressing up, going to the office, enjoying this big corporation, and conferences and exhibitions and everything which I did. But very soon I realized it's not for me. I was feeling trapped. Today we are living in an era that we're traveling a lot through social media and through your phone. You can do a lot. And my personality is I love to travel, so I was finding myself traveling, and I was also like, it was hard for me because when you're working in a corporation or in the office, it's very limited days where you can leave, so you need to consider that. So, and my values today are still freedom, creativity. And definitely this is not going together with working in the office from 9 to 5.
But it's not necessarily an easier option, is it?
It's not, but everything
but it's
has
your
its
choice.
pros and cons.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Also, another thing what really inspired me was my value is to honesty and transparency, and working in a field of fintech or finance in general, doing marketing. Marketing is like, I'm creative. Learning marketing is like, you need to be creative inside you, and you want to be creative and doing campaigns and everything. But if you go to work for an industry which is very highly regulated, like you're feeling that you're trapped.
Stifled,
So, and I was like, this was inspiring me the most, to open my own marketing agency, because then I can take the clients from industries that I want, like in wellness, aesthetics, hospitality. There I can really like use my passion and work like.
So you can be passionate, you can be creative, and you've got a bit more flexibility. So Mafusa, what sort of inspired you to start your current business? Because you started at university, didn't you?
I did. I started at my second year of university, so I started with just making pieces for myself, and then I went to uni, and a lot of girls really liked the pieces I was wearing, and they said they wanted to have some pieces, so I sold some pieces to them with like no profit. And then from then on it was like word of mouth. My friends and families wanted some pieces, and I thought, wow, this could really be a thing. So I started I wasn't really serious when I started. I just did it for my friends and family. And then I sent it to a few influencers. I gifted them, and then they wore their pieces on their stories. And that grew like a large following really quickly over summer of my second year. And then that's when I really went a bit serious with it, and I put all my investments and savings into the business. And since then we've grown really big. Yeah.
Brilliant. Arjun, just going back to that, what was your first step, would you say?
It was to pick what product to come up with.
Product, yeah.
It was a case of the industry is massive. There's snacks, there's drinks, there's alcohol, there's chocolates. What do you want to do? Which category has space, which doesn't have space? A lot of people think snacks, for example, is one of the biggest categories. And there's a lot of space, but not a lot of people know snacks is dominated by two big brands, Cadbury and Mondelez. So you're never going to get shelf space. The retailer is never going to look at a challenger brand which is a year, 2 years old and say, I love what you're doing, and I'm going to get Kit Kat removed to put you on there. No, that's not going to happen. No matter how good your product is, it's not going to happen.
Do you know something? It's really good, because you know, when a lot of our students start their business plans, they have such ambitious ideas that are not realistic. So it's kind of really focusing and honing in on what is realistic and what can be done. So it's great. So Ricardo, what did you experience? Well, tell me about your experience of studying at Westminster and how it helped you build your business. Because obviously we're a brilliant university that helped you.
Sure. Well, so as I said before, I studied management and economics.
Yeah.
And that gave me a good foundation understanding how business dynamics works, and also how some economics model can be applied in real case businesses. But I would say that university helped me the most with the programs that they offer. And sometimes the students don't even realize how much there is available from the university. Definitely the big idea helped me a lot. I was one of the finalists last year. And not only for the funding, which I got £5,500 of free equity funding, but also for the mentorship, the workshops that you do, the other people that they get selected to participate in the program, and you learn so much by sharing ideas and even just talking about what the...
It's really powerful, isn't it? Because you get the money and you get the mentorship, which is really valuable. You need that advice, you need that way to go forward. So, did you make use of the Westminster Enterprise Network?
Yeah, of course. Right now, I'm part of the Accelerate program,
Brilliant.
Which is another really good program that I suggest you guys to apply. Maybe the program is for already if you have a business a little bit consolidated, if you have a bit of a market attraction. But if that's your case, I definitely recommend you to apply. Because they give you up to £10,000 in free equity, and plus mentorship, a mentor that guides you one-to-one, plus other amazing people
No, I would really encourage people to really go for every competition, try and win anything you can. It's a good way to test your idea to a market, it's fantastic. So Lucy, what about you? What was your experience of studying here? And really, and also a little bit about the Westminster Enterprise Network, if you got involved with that.
Yeah, so I was here for a short time, just to bear in mind, because my master's was full-time and just under a year. The enterprise, it wasn't a thing
No, that's
I'm that
right.
old.
You're 2014,
Yeah,
I
I had
think
to check in.
Yeah.
But if it was, I would be here all the time.
There you
Come
go.
to every single event. No, it was a great experience. I think, if anything as well, it gave me a lot of confidence in kind of taking my study that one step further, and it really stands me out, makes me stand out now in terms of the coaching field as well. A lot of my clients were drawn to me because they can see my qualifications, the hospitals that I've worked at, and I don't think I'd be able to do it without actually doing my MSc, and also the location was amazing. Being in central London meant that I was able to network. Networking is a massive part of why I've been able to be successful, and being here was amazing, and I loved it so much that I've actually got a client that's now a student in the
There you
audience.
go.
I'm not going to look where
You
that
mustn't-
person is.
no,
Yeah.
And that's what I like about your mindful approach and the way you reflect. So all the things we teach in a master's program about reflecting thinking, and you're using that in your business, which is great. You know, your the intent behind
Yeah.
it and your own values. It is really helpful to
Yeah, it's a
see
huge
that.
tool. And in psychology,
Sort of-
even in practice, you always are encouraged to keep a reflective journal.
Yes,
and
that's
now I'm
right,
still
yeah.
massive on journaling.
Oh,
Yeah.
brilliant. Yeah. So Christine, what about you here? What was your experience of studying here in terms of building your business? How did it help?
Definitely, it gave very strong knowledge base, the knowledge that we're getting here, and also the structure of building a business, the knowledge of marketing, because marketing is such a wide topic. So I could experience different fields of marketing, of PR, and this helped me really to understand which path I want to go, because it's like you cannot cover everything, but thanks to Westminster, the international marketing course, which I did, actually today when somebody client come to me and ask questions, I can cover every piece of marketing because I studied all of it. I have the base knowledge of every part.
Fantastic.
And now I'm just focusing on the fields that I really love the most.
Good.
And also the networking, it's super crucial for building your own business, because you realize the day that you, in the beginning, who is supporting you the most and who is liking and commenting and following you, it's all your friends from university, because they know how hard it is to start something yourself.
Yeah.
So networking, going to events, doing volunteering, doing summer schools. I did in Paris 3 months. All
Great
the connections.
experience.
Yeah.
Great experience. No, thank you. Mafusa, for you, you started your business while you were studying here.
Yeah.
So which is amazing, and just a plug for me, I wrote a book called The Millennial Millionaire. It's about how young people turn their dreams into business, and it was looking at how a lot of undergraduates and postgraduates, how they started their business career, and their ideas within the things that didn't work for them. They were looking at gaps, problems that they tried to solve. So it's in the library if you don't want to buy a copy, but that's a plug. But for you, you were young, you started your business while you were studying, which a lot of people don't. They don't really even go to careers until it's sort of the last semester, and then they sort of make a mad dash of sprucing up their CV. But you were way ahead of the curve in a way. So tell me about how Westminster helped you, the studying here helped your business.
Yeah, so I think it helped a lot doing accounting. So I was really strong with my financials and tracking our cash flows. And also last October, I actually won the big idea. So I won £7,000. And that was amazing. And a lot of the judges, the feedback was, you're really strong on the financials. That's why we can see this potential with that money. And since then, I've joined the Elevate program with Ricardo and Arjun. That's another £10,000 and a lot of mentorship, which I think is the most valuable thing. Because for me, it's just me, I don't have anyone guiding me or telling me how to run the business. So having someone with a lot of experience and the one-to-one mentorship is something I really take away.
That's really good to hear, because I think that's the thing that's coming out, the mentorship, and really winning. Just shows we've got winners here on the panel, who've gone for the big idea and either have been runners up or have won. So really go for your dreams. It's well worth it. Arjun, what about you? Studious student here?
I never really went for the big idea because I didn't know it until I started my business and it was up and running, and I pitched to them and I said, can I come? And they said, no, you passed the idea stage, so you can't.
There you go.
But really, Westminster, it's so important to me because my personal mentor, not my We Network Accelerator mentor, but my personal mentor, Nick Sanders, I always give him credit for it, he was my retail marketing professor. And when I had to start my business, I went to him and I said, this is what I plan to do. And he said, I don't know what your product is because I haven't tasted. I can't tell you anything on category research because I haven't done my research. I have a background in retail, so I can tell you it's very difficult. But because I know you, go do it. And anytime you need anything, there's my phone number. And he gave me his personal phone number. And I still see him once a month where he tells me his last 30 days of history and I tell him what I've been up to, even now. So it's very close to me in a sense.
That is very special.
It's also special because until I graduated with my master's, my father did not tell me that he graduated from University of Westminster as well,
Ooh.
which is probably like 50 years ago.
How could he keep that quiet?
He did not. He kept it with himself, and when I graduated, he came here and he said, oh, by the way, I graduated from here as well.
Well, what subject did he graduate in?
No idea.
Oh, brilliant. Right, so we've got two alumni in Delhi then. That is brilliant. So, Arjun, let's stay with you. What challenges did you face to get to where you are today? Because it hasn't been an easy ride for any of you, I'm sure. I'm sure you've all had to work very hard.
See, food and drink as a business in general is very competitive. Not to say that other businesses are not competitive, but food and drink in general is extremely competitive because you can try and build a D2C and try and sell through your website, but until somebody tastes your product, you don't know what it is. So the trust barrier is always existent. And anytime you go and pitch to a retailer, they say, well, who are you? I've never heard of you. I can give you space on my shelves, but what if you run away 3 months later and people start dying with your drink? What am I going to do then? So it was almost a case of I have product and I had a great idea, what do I do? And there was this 2,500 challenge list to take over. One of them was, how do you sell? Where do you store your product? If you're going to store it, where do you find chilled storage? Where do you find refrigerated space? If you have to deliver product, who's going to deliver your product for you? Because it's so easy to think, oh, every Inn Royal Bank can do that, right? They've got a network. Well, they don't ship liquid, unfortunately. So a long list of challenges. Start with finding a product. Start with how will you get your product to somebody who's buying it. And really get it out there and start selling. Like one of the things we, for example, did at Barrera was start selling on Amazon. And it picked up. We slowly got traction over the last 6 months. We've done close to £75,000 in sales in 7 months, which is great for a new brand. The category is not big enough, so we've got about 2.5% market share of Amazon UK already. We're going for the big dogs eventually. We really
So
are.
tell me then, what would you say, you must have made mistakes along the way and to learn. I mean, mistakes is a difficult word because I interviewed a really successful entrepreneur once and he said entrepreneurs never fail, they just make very expensive mistakes. Which I thought was a nice way of putting it. What mistakes would you say you made along the way and what did you learn from them? The bigger ones.
One really big mistake was I thought the category was big enough and I could scale. As a product that we've got, which is coconut water, it's got a short shelf life, which means it only stays fresh in the bottle for about 5 months. After that, it starts tasting like plastic, it will go bad, it will start fermenting, it's got no preservatives. And you really can't scale with something that's got a 3, 4, 5 month shelf life. Coke, Pepsi have got 24 months. So a retailer can buy it off you in bulk, which means you make it cheaper. It's cheaper to make 100,000 cans as opposed to 10,000. Anybody will tell you that. You don't need me for that. But the cheaper you make it, the cheaper you can sell it to a retailer, and we never really accounted for that. We thought it was so easy to move product. And our first lot, for example, we ended up sampling half of it. So we got 10,000 bottles and we just sampled out 5,000 and we said, okay, it's a month in, we know 3 months later it will completely go down the drain. What do? Let's get people to taste it. Stand outside King's Cross Station.
That's good, you turned it around, you turned it around.
Hand it up, and then you suddenly see
yeah.
people coming into your website and trying to
But it's
sign
frightening
up.
at the time because it's money, isn't it? It's your money, your time, your effort. It was quite scary. Yeah. Well, what about you, Ricardo? So what would you say? What were the challenges you faced, the main ones that you faced?
Sure. Well, the question is what went well? No, no, yeah, like be an entrepreneur, like it's really complicated. Like to be honest, like you really need to have a mindset, a resilient mindset that every day you're gonna like face challenges, and it can be anything, like from small things to large things, and always like you need to come up with solutions to problems. But it's also like amazing because you learn so much. Every time you make a mistake, you learn something new, and it's you as a founder, as a CEO.
But give me a specific example.
More
of a
specific,
mistake
yeah,
you
sure.
made. Give me a
So,
specific example.
Okay, one mistake, probably like the biggest one that I made, was with the trademark registration of my brand. Because at the time, so I registered the business, and then after only 1 year, I applied for the trademark, which usually you need to apply straight away because you kind of protect yourself. But yeah, I was young, and I thought, that registering a company, so LTD, it protects your name, but it's not true. You also need to do another application with the IPO, the government, which is trademark. So I applied for the trademark after 1 year, where already had traction, the brand established, already make big collaborations. So it was really important for me to get it because I could, take a rebrand. And so I applied by myself without a lawyer because I didn't have money for a lawyer. And then another business which was called Easiest Tap, and my brand was Easy Tap, opened a dispute against me to block my trademark registration. It was kind of like a scary moment where everyone was telling me, okay, you need to rebrand. My parents were telling me, Ricardo, what are you doing? Like, you should study. Don't think about like these things. Don't go with lawyers and stuff like this. But for me, what was really important was like kind of my baby. I couldn't just change the name. So I found the energy to be determined to find a solution, and I started to search on the web, lawyers pro bono, and I found this professor at the University of Nottingham, which helped me so much. And he told me, okay, I'm gonna help you out if we can take your business as a case study for our university. So from me not having like anyone with me to actually have a lawyer plus 30 students that were in the case, and we worked together to find a strategy to come out with.
That's brilliant. You helped them as well, which is great.
Exactly.
God, that's a brilliant example. Thank you. Thank you. Mafusa, how about you then? What would you say? What were your biggest challenges? Because you kind of did a softer approach.
Yeah, so last summer we actually had like a really big financial loss. So due to like meeting growing demand, we went from made to order to having a tailor overseas. So that meant like importing goods into the country. I didn't do much research and I went straight to DHL Express. And that cost me around £6,000 after they quoted me £1,000. That was all like duties and taxes, which I should have researched. So obviously if you're like looking at manufacturers overseas, make sure you look at like freight and forwarders because there's like a lot of cheaper options out there.
It's a brilliant example.
Yeah.
So it's a big lesson, expensive lesson.
Yeah.
Lucy, please.
Okay, you're probably going to hate me. I don't like mistakes either. I really don't like mistakes. I think I've learned so much over the last 5.5 years, and when I couldn't sleep the other night, which is quite frequent when you're an entrepreneur, because when you think about your business, I think I worked out that I did 9 different job roles. So over the course of the last kind of 5.5 years, I've just had to learn from things that maybe haven't gone in a way that I had hoped, or I've had to do some extra research, especially when it came to kind of accounting. I went in there quite blind in my first kind of 2 years, and then realised, oh, you pay tax and then you pay VAT, which is a real stinger. And having to kind of really understand that and work with my accountant to understand kind of cash flow and accounting much better. But I think if you're an entrepreneur, and I hope that this will kind of resonate with the panel, you have to be really good at pivoting, and I am always pivoting in my business. I will trial something out, I'll see how it goes, I'll kind of reflect on that, and then I'll maybe do something in a different way. So I literally hand on heart, and it's not just me kind of being arrogant, can't say there's been a mistake in my business, because every single opportunity has been experience of me kind of learning, growing, maybe going in a slightly different direction.
That's fantastic. And it's those hidden costs really that you don't know at the outset. Yeah. And you needed Mafusa near you with her accountancy background. But it's true, isn't it? You get a bigger bill than you expect, and then you just have to get the costs sorted. So, Christine.
I don't know really to say like a mistake, but
Or learning.
I would say more like what are challenges of being like entrepreneur and having your own business is first of all like getting sales, of course, and new clients and growing. Then the competition, because there's a lot of like marketing agencies out there, like why they should come to you as a small company, then they can bring like, you know, they can go for like a big marketing agency who can promise you deliver maybe better results. And also another challenge is being your own boss and like also being boss to people you're working together with, because having a marketing agency means like working together with, it's not me doing everything, working together with a lot of people and managing them and their time and making sure that everything is delivered on time. And also I could encourage you, like my mistake maybe what I say is like to be like perfectionist, and it's a big mistake because sometimes it's just like, especially in marketing, when you're having your own brand or when you're having your own page, like sometimes we're too much, like, you know, we don't want to put this content out there, or we are afraid to share something because we're thinking like, no, it needs to be perfect. No, it's wrong. Just post it, be more like secure what you're doing and learn from it.
You grow with confidence though, don't you? Because
exactly.
you want everything to be perfect, you don't want any complaints.
Not to hold back.
But let me take that further then. How do you cope with managing stress and the workload of being a founder?
Oh. I think it's ongoing. The stress is ongoing, and we just need to know how to set borders. And the key thing is to be organized. Like to have, I need to have my schedule in front of me. Like every evening, I'm going through my next day's schedule. Google Calendar is my best friend, and all like, you know, Monday.com platforms to manage my tasks, or Notions, or like having everything planned is the key thing. And also, you know, just to know to switch off sometimes and deal with like mindfulness, doing like yoga, for me like sound bath to reset. Like actually sound bath and like meditation is something super important, because then you just leave your phone and you switch off and you reset, because otherwise this burnout is coming very fast.
It's true, it's true. What would you say your biggest stress is in the business? What the thing that you're the most anxious about in the business on a day-to-day basis?
In general, about marketing, it's very stressful because it's like it's changing every day. Like what was yesterday, it's not tomorrow. Like tomorrow is a new trend, and like keeping up with the trends, and like it's changing every day. It used to be like this, that you do something or like, and you can plan for 3 months before. Like 3 months, it was like what we did like a marketing plan for like a year in a company. Today, I can say that I cannot do it, because if I'm planning something for the next week, there's new sounds, there is like new trends, there is like new colors, there is new marketing is like constantly changing. So and this sometimes like stressing me out, because you know some trend is coming and you want your clients to be able to have this content or to keep up with the trends, and it's just like sometimes it's putting me to work in the last minute.
Yeah, we feel your pain.
And you're doing things in the last minute, it's making me the most stressed. Like,
you want to be in control, you just want to be ahead,
That's why I'm saying something, just let it go and just do it, you know.
Yeah, it's easier said than done sometimes,
exactly.
isn't it? Lucy, you obviously think a lot about these things, so how about you in terms of managing stress and having a work-life balance?
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard thing to obtain. I think my very close friend, she's a very, very impressive female founder, and she came up with a term which I really liked, which is like a work-life blend, which is what it kind of feels like, because I do own my time and I wouldn't change that for the world. But yes, I absolutely work more hours than I ever did when I was employed, and you have to be so kind of mindful of that, because if you do have that perfectionisty trait, which I absolutely do, just like you can easily overwork yourself, and if I'm burnt out, well, that is going to be absolutely no use to my clients or my business. So it's something, as you kind of mindful is absolutely the approach that I take. So I have lots of different strategies. I think one of my main ones, because my business is so based on my phone, all my marketing has been and continues to be through social media. That's where I acquire the most kind of clients or businesses that want to work with me and brands. So it can mean me scrolling on Instagram isn't just like, yay, fun scrolling on Instagram looking at reels. I'm switched on. Like, that is business for me. So I think the absolute game changer has been changing my relationship with my phone. So every evening I will finish clients. Sometimes it'll be kind of 7 o'clock at night, sometimes it might be 5, again, a blend. And I really protect my evening. So my phone stays on a console table in my hallway, turned over, and I allow myself to really enjoy my evening with my partner and kind of be at home Lucy. And this is a skill that I learned through working in hospitals. My first job was in a cancer hospital with children for 4 years, and then I worked at Guy's and St Thomas's in neurosciences. So, you know, they were quite heavy days with quite, you know, upsetting cases. And when I was in supervision once with a consultant clinical psychologist, she was like, how do you manage this? And I said, when I walk out the hospital, I pull my lanyard, and then I'm no longer like psychology Lucy, I'm at home Lucy, and I've adopted that principle now. You have like business Lucy, and then me in a few hours in my pajamas at home is a different kind of Lucy. But if you're
to set the border,
it's huge, and you're working from home a lot of the time.
You need
so
strong boundaries.
You need really, really strong boundaries. But I think the phone has been the biggest thing for me. Leaving it at night and starting my day, and like I can preach this till the cows come home. Stop starting our days on our phones, because we are literally waking up, scrolling, and before we start our own life, we're starting our life in loads of other people's lives. And if you've got any kind of triggers around comparison and comparing yourself with others, it's a nightmare. So mornings are protected too. I have a very mindful morning. I do my journaling, I often do my exercise, and then I start my day. So I've got like a plethora of strategies that I use for myself. But I think the phone boundary has been huge, and constantly keeping my mindset in check, because I think mindset is the biggest thing and biggest hurdle when it comes to creating your own business.
Brilliant, yeah. And very, it requires a lot of discipline from you to do that.
Huge.
You know, because it's quite hard to put your phone down, isn't it? I mean, you look at students in lectures, they're always like, you know, looking at their phones. So thank you for sharing that. Ricardo, what about your...
Sure.
How do you cope with managing stress?
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really, really hard. Yeah, no, for me, I feel like the last year I've been able to understand better myself and like how to manage. Because for the last like 4 years and a half, I've been running 2 businesses. I mean, EasyTap came before, and then I opened another one, but I was running businesses and at the same time studying Westminster economics, imperial economics, and it was just like my mental at one point, to the point that in September I had to stop everything and just take time for myself for 1 month and a half. I went backpacking in South America. But yeah, no, that was really important and good for me. And then I realized that with business, as you can say, it's really easy that you overwork. Every day you need to answer clients, manage 200 things, suppliers, shipping, whatever. And it just like, you need to switch at one point. Otherwise it's really easy to go in mental breakdown.
No, well, thank you for sharing that.
So so I would say the final answer is like, I give myself like, you know, time during the day to just read a book, take a walk, call my best friend, I don't know, something that you disconnect
and stop
a little
yourself
bit.
before you go, before you crash, because you have to be mindful earlier on to avoid that.
So self-discipline, organization.
Because you're perfectionist, you're control. I think we all are control freaks. And it's really knowing when to stop and how to, you know, because you have to sustain yourself in the business, so it can't be everything all together all at once in a frenzy. It's pacing yourself, which is hard, isn't it?
Actually, I have in my calendar even like every day, moment of breathing. Like, you know, I break it down, my daily schedule. Like,
I must breathe.
From eating to work to meetings to breathing. Like, you know, sometimes you just need this notification on your phone, like take a
just
moment,
to stop
1 minute,
you,
breathing, do the breath work, or, you know, drink water, like, you know, these are all the small things that...
Well, Lucy, I'm going to say Lucy would forget to breathe in the evenings when her phone's turned upside down.
I definitely might.
So Arjun, what about you? Well, what do you like at coping and managing stress? And having a work-life balance?
See, I still don't have that.
You don't know.
I don't, because I've got one soft drinks company which continues to run. There's one which is in development stages. And I often find myself, okay, it's 7 p.m, I need to switch to a different company now. And it's a case of chaos, where I have to put on different faces because it's different companies. It's difficult to shut off, but I agree with everybody on the panel. You must shut off, otherwise you will burn out. The only thing I've been able to do is train every day. If you do, if you don't train, go for a walk. 15, 20 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever you do. Have an anchor. It could be the morning, it could be the afternoon, evening. Mine's training every day. It's in my calendar, and I love doing things by my calendar because of how hyper-organized I want my life to be. Otherwise, I feel like I'm letting go of my company and I'm not doing the right things. I feel guilty for sometimes taking time off. I think that's common between founders. You feel guilty when you sit there and you scroll through your phone. You're like, it's been 10 minutes and I'm watching reels. Why am I doing this? My company's not at X number yet. Let that go, it's okay. I'm still not there yet, still learning, but training and don't feel guilty. Those are two things.
Did you have that work ethic when you were studying here?
When I was studying here, yes. When I was doing my undergraduate, no. So
Yeah,
my undergraduate was...
All that time wasted 3 years. I keep telling people, study now. Use your time wisely.
It's interesting because I'd worked for a startup based in Singapore right after my undergrad. So those 2 years really pushed me, and it was early days tech startup. I lived right below the founder's flat, and I'd get a phone call at 7 in the morning. What are you doing? I'm meant to work. Oh God, really? It's 7. She's like, yeah, you're 5 minutes late. But I really learned from, and I give her all the credit, to work. That's how I learned. You really have to sometimes start at 7 in the morning. Not always, sometimes. She was an ex-Goldman Sachs banker, so she was used to it. I'm still learning.
There you go. There you go. Are your businesses, are they UK based? Are they UK? Because sometimes if you're dealing with people from other countries and the time, you're working night and day just because of dealing with people in different time
I
zones.
start my day at 6:30 in the morning, and that's 6:30 means 6:30 because India is 4.5 hours ahead, and my suppliers are based in India.
Yeah.
And even if I have to get product shipped, I need to deal with shipping agents in India and then shipping agents in the UK. So it doesn't really stop. It starts at 6:30 and ends at some point 7 p.m.
So
And then now we're trying to do another drinks company, which is taking a lot of time as well.
So we should start our undergraduate degrees at 6:30 in the morning to train you guys.
Do not do that to them. I did
don't
not
get
say
it at
that.
9,
Don't
let
put me on
alone
it.
6:30 in the morning. No, thank you. And Nafusa, so what about your...
Yeah, I think I'm still working on it because my customers are based all over the world. So when I get into bed, I'm getting emails from customers in America. I'm sort of trying to balance my time with that because when I wake up in the morning, it'll be their night time and we 24-hour service. Because after I reply to an email, I'll see sales come in. So I'm still working on that, timetabling my time, blocking time out to turn my phone off as well. It's something that it just requires a lot of discipline as well.
So what advice, because it's not easy, is it, coping with that, but generally with your business, what advice would you give to current students or recent graduates who may be looking to start their own business or growing their business?
I think it's really important to know social media and know your market because most of our sales come from Instagram. So if I have a really good day of posting, that will generate £1,000 in sales just from Instagram, and that's one sales channel. But there's so many different sales channels like TikTok, Pinterest, YouTube. It just requires a lot of dedication of understanding how the customers work on each platform and how to use the platform as well.
Very good advice. Arjun, what about you? What advice would you give to current or sort of recent graduates?
Managing stress, or in general? Are we still on managing stress?
Yeah. But holistically, in terms of your business, what other advice? Some of these have got their own businesses, others want to. You've got alumni who are working for a few years and may start their own businesses in a while. So what would you ask?
2 pieces of advice, things I've learned in the last 1.5 years, 2 years, and I realised this over the last 1.5 years. 1, if your gut tells you something, do it. Don't listen to other people. Other people are not founders. My family told me not to do my own drinks company. My friends told me not to do my own drinks company. I did it anyway. Do it. Because my gut said, quit your job, do it.
Yeah.
And we pulled off an idea to product on the table in 90 days. still remember I quit my job and just got to work.
Yeah.
And the second piece of advice is work.
Actually do
Don't
work.
really think about work and don't plan to do work. Writing to-do lists I'm a big fan of, but a lot of times we end up getting stuck at writing a to-do list and never really take those things off. So even if it's in your head, stop doing it.
That's good. I once interviewed the founder of Cobra Lager. You've all heard of Cobra, haven't you? That lager. And when he started, they started brewing the beer in India, and people were thinking, why would you do that? You know, India's not known for its alcohol, and in the UK there's pubs on every street corner. Why on earth would you import Indian lager? And it was such a long, convoluted story because everything was, you know, in India the labels were coming out wonky on the bottles, they couldn't import properly, things weren't up to British standards, so they started brewing here. But you know, he carried on, everybody told him not to do it, his family, his friends, everybody, and he came from an accountancy background, his parents and grandparents had been in the army, so he had lots of routes that he could have taken, much safer routes, more traditional, and yet he persisted in, you know, being an entrepreneur, which they didn't really rate at that stage, and yet became one of the top 10 selling lagers in the UK and, you know, internationally. So yeah, so I get it, hang in there. Ricardo, what about you then? What advice would you give?
Well, I would say just like, I think what really worked for me at the beginning, I feel like you guys can understand me. Like you kind of lost, you don't know where to go. There are so many things that you need to figure out. Even like sometimes starting with which idea, and then when you have the idea, you think, how can I make it happen? How can I realize it? And I feel like what worked for me is just like I pushed myself to do it, just put the feet in the door, and then the things came step by step all together. And because if you start to plan and think, okay, I need to figure out this thing, then I need to figure out this other thing, then you will never start. So really just like try to do it and then see what happens. And if it fails, it doesn't matter. For sure you learn like so much, and you can do it another time and try. So
that's really good advice, because I think people are paralysed with fear, aren't they? They're worried about doing it and they just want to wait till it's perfect, but it never will be. It never will be. You've got to somehow do it.
Yeah, you can't be perfect at the beginning. Like you
It
just
can't
need
be,
to try it.
It never will be.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What about you, Lucy? Then, in terms of advice?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that I would give. I do this day in, day out with clients, but if I was to give you maybe a couple of bits of advice, I think first of all, get really clear on your why and why you want to do this. I think whilst I'm encouraging those conversations kind of through my podcast with founders, it can look really glamorous. If you went on my Instagram, it will look really glamorous having your own business. Don't just buy into that, the glamour of being a founder and being your own boss. You have to have such a strong why as to why you want to do that business and why you want to bring whatever you want to into the world. And I'd really tie that to your values. So I always anchor every decision I make back to my values, which were freedom, flexibility, and to be able to be financially independent. And so even when opportunities come now to me, which are really exciting, if it means that I have to be in one location, I'm going to say no. And that's really helped me to have that kind of like inner compass when it's come to scaling my business, as well as when I started to build it at the beginning. And the other thing I'd say is really have a very strong vision for what it is that you want to achieve, because again, that always becomes my motivation. So I'm probably doing this so wrong. I've never written a business plan. You can come at me for that. But I have always had a very strong vision. I am always knowing exactly what it is that I'm working towards, from the very start of just being on that commute from Brighton to London and what my business would look like. And it grows and it grows and it grows. And that continues to be my motivation of the opportunities I want to attract, the life that I want to live, you know, how I want my business to look, feel. So in summary, that would be it. Your why, your values, have your vision, hold it strong, and make sure you really want to do this for the right reasons, because mindset is everything, and it will want you to always focus on the ways that it can fail, and it's a constant tug of war to bring it back to thinking about all the ways that it could go right.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Christine?
I wanted to say the same, like use your values. First of all, take a moment and think, what are your values? Because let's say you can segment your market even accordingly. Like let's say your value is sustainability or honesty or this automatically you can like find the market, who's going to be a client, like with who you want to work. Then you can work with your passion, and you know you have the right audience. Then I would say start a blog, publish a podcast, or just start doing something and growing, because it doesn't matter if it's a social media page, is it a blog, is it a website, is it a podcast. All of these are forms of communication. And build your personal brand, and don't be afraid to share it through yourself, and stay like true to yourself, because this is what people want. They want honesty, they want transparency, and don't try to be somebody else. And people will see this, and they work with you, or they will buy your product only because of you and your unique point of sale, your USP. Because there's a lot of competition, but if there's only one you, each one of you is different. Just find inside you why you're different, why you're special, and sell it. That's it.
That's so true. That is so true, because people buy you, they trust you.
Yeah.
That's who they want. So
stand behind your.
Yeah.
You're the brand. You're the business.
That's great. So what's next for you then? For you and the business? What
Talking
would you say
about
is next?
talking about podcasting, we were just discussing this before. I want to start to get more into podcasting.
Fantastic.
As another form of communication. And I also have a small plan of publishing a book, so a writing and also educational books. So a lot of
Wow.
things ahead.
Okay, so people will learn from you. That takes a lot of time. I mean, podcasts, just the content creation to actually take. It's a lot of time, isn't it? Because as Lucy said, they seem glamorous, but it's a lot of time, isn't it? And it's a lot of effort. I'll come back to you, Lucy. But Mafusa, what are your next steps then? Where are you headed next?
I think on her point, it's really important to stay true to yourself. Because I run a Muslim business, so that means I can't use the most trending audios. I use vocal only nasheeds, that's no music. My models, I don't show their faces. I think for me, it's just building my brand and the name, so people want me for me. So people would be they want to buy a hijab, but does it have the brand logo? I think that just shows that they're not just buying the product, they're buying your product.
That's really lovely, yeah. It's lovely. Ricardo, what about you? What are your next steps?
Right now I'm working on, Fastec, I'm putting all my effort and I'm just getting always more passionate about my team, that we're all entrepreneurs. So the next steps is helping even more startups to build their products, or help them to build a strategy to go to the market, or even grow in their position. So yeah.
That's good, that's great. Arjun, what about you? Next steps?
We've done a lot of work on different markets that we want to explore for Barbara, but there's another drinks brand, like I said, which we've been working on. It's called Sparkle Soda. It's been made in the UK, so it's made locally. It's a collagen-based soda, and it's plant-based. So essentially the idea is drink your skincare. We spent a lot of time getting clinically tested to make sure it really works. So it does work. We've done human trials in the last year and a half. We've got a Dragon's Den judge backing it up for us. We can't say who until we launch, unfortunately.
Is it one of the current ones or an old one?
Can't say that. But yes, we do have a Dragon's Den judge backing it up, and we're doing Austrian market first, the Dutch market first. We have Albert Heijn, which is the waitress of the Dutch market, their ex-commercial director, on our board as well. So it's all good things lined up.
Good luck.
2025 is hopefully going to be a very exciting year.
Oh wow, we look forward to seeing you again. But Lucy, what about you then? What's next for you?
I think I want to still continue to build my exposure through building my social media, and I'm also really enjoying collaborating more with leading brands, hosting corporate masterclasses, and continuing to do my events as well. There's nothing like doing in real life work with my work. Then I'm also, and I'm looking to this side of the panel, as soon as next week, going to have conversations about launching a product. So hopefully that's an exciting thing to do, and turn it a bit more from a service-based business into a product-based as well.
You guys never sit still, do you? There's always something dynamic happening with all of you. Gosh, Thank you so much. A round of applause for our panel. Amazing. Thank you. I've so enjoyed talking to you all. So thank you so much to our panel for sharing their insights on building a successful business. Now we've got some time for you to ask questions. Thank you so much for being here on this very, very cold night. So please raise your hands if you have a question. And we're also getting questions on Slido, which I'll read out afterwards. So anybody watching this online, please ask questions. Irene!
Very much for what has been a very inspiring time, and I have 2 questions, please. What advice would you give to the students in terms of how they use their time so they maximize the opportunity to be successful when they've finished? And secondly, could you tell us a bit about what networking has done for you in terms of your business and yourselves as people? Thank you.
Do you have anyone who's specific on the screen now?
Can I jump in?
Yes,
Can I go with the
please
networking?
do.
Can I hand over the student question to someone else that's a bit more of a
You go
recent
for the
graduate?
networking one.
Is that all right? Yeah. Networking is huge. It's integral to my business. I have maximised any connection that I have within the social media space, and I'm not afraid to ask anyone's advice, guidance, ask to meet for coffees, slide in their DMs. You name it. I have instigated that conversation, and it's always been such a positive response. It's like me coming here tonight, I jumped at the opportunity because I want to give back, and I think a lot of people, especially in the entrepreneurial space, really know what it takes, what it takes to build a successful business, and they will be very open and willing to help, but networking is absolutely key.
Thank you.
If I can add to
Yes,
that.
please do.
One rule I set for myself when I started this, and I was told by somebody, is never say no for a coffee meeting. No matter how busy you are, always say yes for a coffee meeting, even if you know your time is going to be wasted. You don't know who you will bump into on the way to your coffee or on the way back. Take that coffee meeting.
There you go. Anybody going to mention students?
I think as a student, say yes to like a lot of opportunities. Like We Network provide you so many different courses, so many different like enterprises, and it's just like a touch of an email which you can click apply. For example, the big idea, even if it's not a business idea yet, they have a category for ideas only. So just going into that headstrong and like with your studies still working hard, but also working on yourself and your like side project as well. I think it's really important.
Thank you, thank you. I've got one on Slido. It's for Ricardo, a question for Ricardo. It's not easy managing one business. How should one manage 2 and have a normal family life and social life? It's for someone anonymous, so I suspect they know you.
Yeah.
What can you do to have a better, better time management?
So thank you for asking. Well, we said before, like it's really not easy, like especially with study as well. Also, like just managing to business. What I do is like I take time for myself. I get to run, I read a book, I meet friends. But the fact is that like in my case, I'm really passionate about business and entrepreneurship. So I don't see it as working. Like for me, it's just like me having fun, talking with my clients and also selling the product that I'm selling, services. So my advice would be organized, calendar, have everything like set up, like knows what you have to do, because it stresses me so much when I don't know what I have to do during the day, and sometimes I just like go crazy and say, oh, I forgot about this thing I should have done, and now I feel bad. So
you can manage it more when you write it down, can't you?
When I write it down, it helps me a lot to be organized and say, okay, I do this, then I'm done, and tomorrow is another day.
Fantastic.
Hopefully it's going to go well.
Thank you. I've got a question for Christine, then I'll just throw it back to the floor. So Christine, this is for you. Do you manage all aspects of marketing yourself, or do you have a team to help you with different areas?
No, I have a team, and a lot of actually I had someone also working for me who was like studying at Westminster. I think she's still studying here. So I'm really working with like also with students and freelancers, and I have people all around the world working. So this is also a very big benefit of today's, like it's a very big bonus of having a business today, is that we don't need to sit. This is at least I wish for myself, is that we don't need to all sit here 9 to 5 at the office. we have like Zoom meetings, we're using Slack or like all the communication platforms and managing our business like and our tasks or like virtually.
Yeah, no,
So
fantastic.
definitely.
Yeah. Any more from the floor? Oh, please. Well, either. One by one. And thank you. Thank you.
I have a question for Christine. Nice to meet you. I'm a current student in television production, and I've noticed that you have experience in social media. You work in different industries, including beauty and hospitality. And how does social media marketing strategy differ across this industry? And what are the key factors to consider when creating content for different audiences?
Thank you for the question. So first of all, like let's say hospitality, it's depending on I was specifically working with an Italian restaurant. They were opening in Mayfair. So first of all is that you need to understand who is your audience, where you are, to who you're producing this content, and how you also what are sort of the locations and your target areas where you're targeting, and like with some cases you need to do more let's say marketing and events. You need to organize events. Like with fintech, for example, it was a lot of going exhibitions. It's more like conferences. It's more like B2B marketing, right? And highly regulated. Whereas when you do hospitality, it can be more transparent and it can be more open. Basically the approach is just different. Yeah.
Thank you. Alan, go ahead.
Hey, my name is Vung. I'm studying counselling here. I'm training as a therapist at Westminster. So my question's for Lucy. One of the things that's kind of held me back in starting my own entrepreneurship is the sort of quandary between working one-to-one with your clients but also having a social media presence. I've just started my own Instagram, some 70 followers now, but starting that journey, but feeling quite tentative between sort of the boundary between putting yourself out there but also kind of having that sort of confidential space with the people that you work with on a one-to-one basis. I wonder if you've experienced any challenges around that and how you've navigated those.
Yeah, it's an amazing question. It's such a different space, right? And especially for me kind of pivoting from the NHS into that, so you think of how less of social media was even a thing then, and me trying to kind of get my head around that. So I've kind of got very strict, so I'm very big on kind of confidentiality, anonymity. I will kind of share client testimonials so people get a sense of my work, but always kind of ask for permission from clients before sharing any messages like that. It's then finding a really a balance that works for you between kind of sharing enough of yourself so they kind of understand the work that you do, but also buy into you as a person. So what I see in terms of clients reaching out to me, they will follow me for a good year before actually reaching out to work with me, because it's a completely different relationship, right? They need to really build up that trust. They need to kind of have a sense of me. It helps, obviously, if you see me in a live event to then come in as a client, but a lot of them are just following me on social media. So I'm very reflective in terms of what I do share, and just always checking in with myself and making sure that it's of value, because the first thing that's going to kind of affect a therapeutic relationship is the client feeling sorry for you. And in my industry, a lot of people will do their marketing based on sharing their personal story, and because I've gone through this, I can then help you. That's never been my strategy, nor will it be my strategy if I'm having a really difficult day to show that on social media, because again, if clients see that, they might not reach out to me with the problem that they've got, so they have in-between access to me on an app like WhatsApp. So it's a really delicate balance, and I think, again, like I said, you kind of learn, grow with it, find your voice, and that's how I've been able to establish my personal brand. But I'd like to think my personal brand is very protected in a way that stops people from knowing me too much, or is giving away kind of too much vulnerability, which could then affect that relationship in a one-to-one capacity.
Brilliant, great question.
But please reach out to me in my DMs, because I'm really happy to kind of support and give any more extra information.
Okay, thank you.
My name's Nee, PhD Alumni 2021. This question is for you, Ricardo. I work full time, but I've got a consultancy business on the side. It's kind of like a side gig in process mining, which is a field of data science. But I think the one thing it's not taking off as much as I'd like to do is around sales. So I guess my question to you is, what tips do you have as a tech entrepreneur for getting your sales off the runway and attracting clients?
Sure, great question. Thank you for asking. Well, I would definitely say I would definitely say that right now there are like really powerful tools which are even free. Social media, it's one really good examples, like Reels, TikToks. If you keep posting like persistency, at one point the algorithm is gonna notice you, and it might happen like after 50 posts, but at one point it's gonna happen, and you will get that visibility. And the really good thing of social media that they're free. So more you post, more free organic traffic you have. While this doesn't happen with paid advertising, where you need to pay to get the visibility. So for sure, social media, really powerful. Then another sales technique that works sometimes quite well is called reach out. Prepare like a really good case study that you did with one of your clients, and then reach out to similar clients, say, look, I helped this your competitor X to do this, and we achieved this result together. Can we jump in a call? I would like to explain you how we did it. Something like this. Obviously, you need to send hundreds of emails every day, not just 1, 2. But in large scale, with big number, that technique works. Another sales strategy, I would say, is giving like commission percentage. With Fastech, which is B2B business model, we give like commission if you bring clients or if you recommend us to someone, and that works quite well for us.
What did you call that one?
It's what did you say? Sorry.
What did you call that last one?
So it's commission referral. Yeah, commission. Yeah, affiliate program. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've got a question here, online question for Arjun. Why did you choose the food and drink business, and how did you find investors?
For a second, I thought I wasn't being asked.
I know. It's trigger fingers online.
I felt so left out. Food and drink business because, like I said, my family's been in the business. So I've grown up seeing a food and drink business go up, go down, flourish, products being taken off the shelves and really being poured down the drain, and products being shipped in containers and containers overnight. It's something that I really looked up to. It was a case of, can I do this? Maybe. But there's only one way to find out. Jump in, you try and do it.
And how did you find investors?
So, Bavara, which is the coconut water brand that I bootstrapped, and that's what we've done so far. We have no investors on board for that.
Okay.
For Sparkle Soda, it was a case of one, LinkedIn outreach, so pick VC funds, pick family offices that are investing in a similar industry space, look them up. GPT will tell you if you just look up family offices that invest into businesses across the world, just send them a LinkedIn request, send them a message. Yeah. Having a soft drinks company already obviously helps, but it doesn't hurt sending 10, 15 messages a day. It takes maybe 20 minutes, half an hour. Mm-hmm. Eventually you will find somebody who will say, okay, you have a great idea, I will back it up for you. Which is what we're still doing for Sparkle Soda. I heard from one of the VCs this morning who said, you have a great idea, but as a fund we only invest in companies that do $1 million in revenue. Now, when you get there, here's my phone number, give me a call. But until then, we can't work with you.
Yeah.
So it's not really a closed door, but...
And I think a lot of successful entrepreneurs have said that, you know, like when they were begging for money from banks, etc., they shut the doors on them, and now that they're wealthier, everyone's knocking on their door saying, you know, we want to lend you money, and they don't, you know, it's a different thing, but success breeds success, doesn't it? It's a cool world.
100%. I mean, the only reason for that is if you switch the roles and you reverse the roles. If I was somebody who had a VC fund
Oh,
a family
yeah.
office, I would not probably respond to somebody who's sending me a message on LinkedIn saying, I've got this great idea, I'm raising £800,000 for it, and it's going to do 300 million in the next 5 years. I'd be like, nah,
Idiot.
it's not. It's not going to happen, you're delusional. A lot of investors will spend time getting to know you. People don't put
Well,
money.
it's their money, it's a risk, isn't it?
They
It's a
don't
risk
put
factor.
money into ideas. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
People put money into founders.
And
That's
rightly
what
so,
I found.
rightly so.
Somebody we work very closely with, it's a company called Clever Clover based in Austria. I bumped into the man at a trade show. We got into a conversation and he said, what are you doing in 2 weeks from now? And I said, well, I'm busy trying to get this company up and running. He said, if you can come to Austria, I will put you in front of head buyers. And I took that leap of faith and I went. Now that deal didn't really go well, but when we pitched him Sparkle Soda, he said, I love it. And he tasted kitchen samples and he went to Austria again, and now we have an agreed listing before we even have a product, investors, or anything at all. So they really put their trust on a founder and not really the product.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a person that people buy.
Finding investors.
Yeah, sorry. There's two, so one.
Hi, I'm studying psychology here at the minute, and also I've been a client of Lucy's probably almost since Lucy began. I could spend an hour singing her praises and how amazing our time together has been, but my main question probably would be about social media, which is similar. How to start a presence, because obviously I know having that balance between having social media of like a personal but a business. But where would you start? Because I think that's my anxiety. I think I want to go into a very similar lane to Lucy, but specialising with ADHD women. But where would you start building a business social media presence that is different to your personal account? But where do you even start? Would be my question. Open.
Lucy, do you want to do it?
What? She can ask me. Is there a capacity? Do you want me or do you want someone else? Yeah. Okay. I will only answer briefly so other people can chip in as well. Again, it comes back to my advice, like what's your why? What do you want that platform to be about? Who do you want to attract? What do you want to share? What value do you want to add? And then really starting to find your voice. So, really actually now pivoting your way of using social media and use it more as like research, saving the reels, saving the TikToks, saving the posts that you kind of like and feel inspired by, and then kind of creating that profile for yourself and testing things out, because if you scroll back, feel free to, some of the stuff I'm like, oh, and I have, lots of influencers with loads of followers come on my podcast and they share the same thing and you cringe with the things that you first started, but you have to start. It's like that, taking the leap and taking the risk and starting to post, and then you will refine, but be really careful that perfectionism of like your post has to be the perfect post when you start posting, because that's going to kind of delay you getting started. So do your research, see what you like, and just don't be afraid to try things out.
Does anybody else want to say something?
Yeah. You go. Yeah.
I think also not being afraid of what other people think of you, because for me, I started with taking my photos of my pieces in my bedroom, and I could have easily been like really shy and nervous of like what people locally would think and like what my friends and family would think. Like, what am I doing? I'm in university, I should really be focusing on my degree. So yeah, being really like confident in yourself and your product, and knowing that is something that people would love and like it will build a community. I think it's really important.
And I would say also like protect your privacy a little bit, like don't really put everything out there. Like, about like your home, like keep your home or your partner or your personal space, because after you can just come back and you can regret or something like this. So still keep this business mind. Like you can show who you are and what is your vision about your business and what is your tone, but don't put everything out there.
Yeah, like to add on, I think a really good strategy to make your page grow really quickly, and especially now that there are so many pages for everything, is to post not only about like what you sell, because people would not follow you back. Like, for example, like Fastech, we do IT strategy consultation and development services and we don't like constantly post just about how we are amazing to do that service. We post mainly marketing tips or branding tips, or everything that is with strategy and consulting that can help people, so people find our page useful and then follow us, and then at the same time you obviously like propose your service, but that's to be like a secondary thing in my opinion. And that it depends case by case. Probably for our products it might be different. In that case I would use more like a strategy of like showing the story behind and the founder. With a product, it's really important the founder as a first image in the brand, I believe. But, yeah.
Thank you.
I've got a question for Mafiza and Arjun. How do you conduct your market research, and what resources do you use? Often, like, we use Google, but it can be quite generic. So how do you really dig down and find how you can target the relevant market that you're after, and how it will help you basically scale and grow in the long run as well?
I think for me because it's clothing, so it's like a buyer business, it's easy to look at the modest fashion influencers that I looked up to as like my market research, and then sending them my pieces and getting their honest feedback on that, and then improving if it needs to be improved, and if they love it then they'll post it, and from that it just builds a lot of traction. So for me it was mainly influencer collaborations, and then seeing what's trending in the market and like what's trending on TikTok and Instagram. So for me it's mainly with trends and what's trending on like Pinterest and stuff.
I'm very traditional with research. I mean, for Barbara we used Mintel, Statista to get really the idea of how big is the market, what can we achieve potentially. Read as many reports as you can. I mean, GPT is a great one, I use it all the time. Get the paid version, ask it a question like you would ask a human being. It works. It gives you every single source, every single detail. It will break it down for you. You ask it to explain it to you, it will do it for you.
Did you say GPT?
Yeah. The new version is GPT-4, I believe. Get the paid version, it's worth it. It works. I'm probably the brand ambassador of GPT at this point. It's like an assistant. You can use it for anything and everything. One of the things we also did early days was look at other drinks founders, see what their insights are. The Trip founders, for example, which is a CBD drink, they once told me, and I met them through the Virgin Startup, one of the networking events, and they said the reason we did a can and not a bottle was because we were testing out cans, glass bottles, plastic bottles. A glass bottle would break, the plastic was just not sustainable enough. With a can, you can give it to a 50-year-old, a 75-year-old, a 5-year-old, and they would know how to open it and drink from it. It's that little insight that changes everything. Barbara is a coconut water brand we do in a bottle, but with that insight, we're doing sparkle soda in a can.
Thank you. I think there's another question.
Hey, I'm an alumni at the university as well. I work as a teacher now. But my question for you was, I've got a lot of business ideas in my head, and they're all very similar. How do you gather your ideas together and actually get one that's solid and that you think will actually be successful? Because obviously when you have so many things to think about, it's like, how do I organize these thoughts? I'd mainly wanted to ask Lucy, sorry, I should have mentioned this at the start. Yeah.
Thank you. I think test it out. So if you have lots of different ideas, which I do, so like I know if you're going on about the podcast, but the podcast was something that I wanted to do kind of 3 years ago, but I'm so pleased that I didn't kind of just launch into it then. I kind of waited for traction, which was great because through networking, the guests that I've had on are amazing. They're probably people that a lot of you do follow. And so it's been something, I have ideas all the time, but you can't execute all of them at once. And now I have these different strands to my business as well. It's very difficult for me to be able to give them all equal weighting. So I'll tend to kind of go through rotations. At the moment, I'm focusing more again on my one-to-one clients and bringing new clients in. In January, it was very much around kind of paid content creation, speaking opportunities. It was January, it was around goals. Now I'll start to think about the product, but the product actually won't be launching until January 26th, so that will come later in the year. So have the ideas, don't abandon them, but maybe the one that you feel really like called towards, or maybe the one that's going to be easiest to implement initially, go with that and then kind of continue to build and stack on top of it. That's how I've managed to create kind of these different strands and diversify my income.
Also, another good tip is get yourself into a room with someone who is already doing this or have done this before and ask them advice, because always ask people who already succeeded in this, or they're older, they're more experienced, and they can tell you advice, and most likely it will work. So get yourself surrounded by people, go to events maybe, or try to network with people like this, or reach them out, and most of the time they will tell you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any more questions from the floor? Please.
My question is mainly for the women. Like, funding towards women is very limited, and how you don't necessarily need to prove yourself within the industry of like business, but have you got any advice?
Sure, take it, yeah.
So I was actually in the finals in October with 3 other male finalists. So I think that just shows if you're really passionate about your business, and like the traction was really good. For me, it was like the financials really stood out to the judges. So yeah, I think you should also feel like more empowered as well. Like I come from a finance background. I've been in internships, so it's just been just guys in the room, and it's just me as the only female. And so just empowering yourself and like using that to stand out, I think is really important, and like it should make you more confident as well.
Yeah, I'm actually going to speak on behalf of my best friend, Sophia Jarvis, who has just started her own fintech company, and she's raised funding. She's raised nearly £750,000 now, pregnant with twins, and she was pregnant throughout the whole time of funding, and she knew that was going to be a huge obstacle, not only being a woman, but also pregnant. So if she can do it, and she's really empowered herself through it, she's a great person to follow. Hopefully that will give you guys some inspiration as well.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, go.
There's VC funds that are specifically designed to support women founders. You will find that.
Yeah, organisations like angel investors as well.
They exist.
Yeah.
They do good work.
Brilliant. Okay, is that everybody from the floor? Oh, sorry. There's one gentleman. There's one right at the back of the room. Thank you. That will be the final question.
Yep. Hello, good evening, guys. Thank you so much for having us, and thank you so much for the wonderful panel. I'm Samad Arote. I'm a founder and director of Gyromind Aviation, which is sustainable aviation service provider. So my question is to all of you, because it's gonna be my real challenge currently I'm facing. I've built a company, I've got the team, and all my team members are older than me. They are complete experts in aviation. They have got 40 years of experience, 20 years of experience, and they are currently working with me. So I have one question for you guys. Currently my customers are airlines, airports, ground handling companies, then UK government and all regulators. So from your perspective, what strategies should I implement to attract those clients or the customers? Because obviously when we talk about social media, when we talk about general marketing strategies, is mainly for the regular consumers. But when it comes to the customer segment, which is completely niche and the decision makers are completely at top level, how should one approach to them to get on board with me? Thank you.
I would say build your credibility first before you reach out to them. I mean, the kind of industry you're in, aviation, you need to have a certain level of credibility. The food and drink industry, for example, my age works against me. When somebody looks at me and they go, oh, you look like you're really young to be able to run a business. Well, it is what it is. It will sometimes work against you, and it will sometimes work in your favor, but somebody will look at you and say, oh, you're young, you probably have some great ideas, and they will take that bet on you. But build your credibility first. Put yourself out there on social media. Don't shy away thinking it's not going to work. One example I can think of is there's a company called The Jet Business. I don't know if he pops up in your feed as well. It's a man named Steve Rosander. I can't afford a jet right now. I don't know why he shows up on my feed, but he shows up and I know about it. It adds to the credibility. He talks about having a showroom in Park Lane. He talks about his experience, his 25, 30 years in aviation. He tells a story. I'm not going to buy a jet anytime soon. I don't have friends who are going to buy a jet. I'm not meant to be knowing all of this about him, but I do. And this adds to his credibility. So build it first, regardless of whether you get that client now or 10 years later.
I would say, for example, engage more in quality sources, not so much social media, but for example, blogs. There's industry-based blogs where you can give your opinion and appear as opinion leader, and also a PR and quality magazines, and looking for industry-based quality sources more than Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook, definitely.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your questions. All your questions were really valuable. If you still have some more questions to ask the panel, they'll be networking, so you've got plenty of time to talk to them in a more relaxed way. So we're going to come to a close now. So thank you all for coming on such a cold night. But it's been it's been a great experience for me listening to you all. I'd be grateful if you could complete the feedback forms on your chairs, because they really help us to run the best possible events. And if you could return them in the purple alumni table at the back of the room, if you could put them there. We have one more What It Takes event this semester, so please look out for information about that. I really want to give a big thank you to the alumni team who've worked so hard and the Westminster Enterprise Network, so well done to them. Thank you again to our panel for generously giving your time and advice and speaking this evening, and to all of you online and here in physical presence. Thank you, and I'm sorry I couldn't get to all the online questions, but I'm going to let the panel look at them. And please do stick around for networking and enjoy the refreshments. Thank you so much.